what are the top 4 lessons that I need to keep remembering after what is now decades of making work? My 4 lessons: keep on trucking, look at the middle way, how you're financing, how you're being mentally healthy, how you're being healthy, spiritually healthy as well while making your work. And if you're not making your work, well, the middle way is also keep on making your work, even if you're doing other things, where possible, around responsibilities and family. And I know it's getting harder. The third lesson, of course, is that all creative roads are always moving forward. It's just you don't sometimes see the paths you're laying down, the bricks. And fourth is that it is always about it's the communication of your voice to your community, whatever your community looks like in terms of the art you make for them. So my name's Marisha Trembetska from I Love Your Creativity and Make Money podcast. This week's podcast is actually being recorded on Thursday, the 18th of February. And in fact, tomorrow, the 19th of Feb, is the 6-year anniversary of my very first full 1-hour singing psychic show, which now I've done previous characters and shows before that had toured and since actually, but the process of singing psychic is particularly dear to my heart because I realised very quickly that it kind of had legs or wings in a way that maybe certainly some of the other work I felt had wings and legs, but singing psychic definitely had bigger legs or wings. Not sure where I'm going with this analogy. But anyway, so because indeed 6 years tomorrow is that anniversary, I've just been thinking a little bit about what has happened in the past in terms of the work I've done on that show and how the process has kept moving forward. And I realise there's lessons time and time again I have to keep remembering. Now, the first question is always actually to keep on trucking. A few years ago, I want to say 10, I was at a dinner at the Haymarket Royal. They had like a theatre club. And one of the people sitting at my dinner table was the very fabulous Simon Callow. Not Simon Cowell, Simon Callow, the brilliant actor who does lots of Shakespeare. He was obviously also the funeral part of 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Legendary. I mean, he's done just incredible. And does a one-man show as well, Charles Dickens, A Christmas Carol. Just such an amazing ongoing actor of both solo work and obviously has also been hired on many theatres and in many films across the world. And I remember asking him at the end of the dinner, his like one advice as a creative. And he said to me, keep on trucking, because he's had so many peaks and lows and fallow periods up and down his career. He just, when he said that to me, I just went, oh, he's right. And now, while we are still in lockdown 72 or whatever it's called, in February 2021, as I record this, I am reminded of this keep on trucking, especially because if I think about it, 2015, I did my very first full 1-hour singing psychic show. And as soon as I came off stage, I kind of went, oh, I really think I've created something, because I could feel from that very first whole 60 minutes the reaction of the audience, because there was script, but also there was a lot of improvisation, because my character, she reads the songs in your heart. And I just basically had absolute joy and fun with that. And the audience just loved the fact at any moment I could drop script and just go down some very strange rabbit holes. In 2015 was also the year of I then did a week at Camden Fringe, and I made my very first web series, having Songs of Soho by the Singing Psychic. Now, since then, if I look at, well, what was I doing 5 years ago in February? Well, actually 5 years ago in February, I performed at the Brit Awards after party at the O2 as the Singing Psychic. I had a stage, I had my own bodyguard, and I did readings of the songs around people's heart. And 2017, the Singing Psychic game show came to fruition and kind of stormed it around. And in 2019, well, this time 2 years ago, I was in Australia doing shows as a Singing Psychic and also as my Queen of the Fucking World show. And also October 2019, I was doing a TEDx talk in Glasgow, which was amazing fun. So I look back and think, however we are denoting success or not, if I think about the joy of the Singing Psychic, and now I'm in a situation where I haven't got on stage to a live audience as a Singing Psychic in a year. I have got the podcast, which you may be listening to, but I just have to remind myself to keep on trucking, really. Now, my second lesson, first lesson, keep on trucking. The second lesson of looking back is the middle way. Now, in Buddhism, they talk about don't go extreme either side. The path of the middle way of balance of your life means that you can really go spiritually down the middle way. There's a whole conversation about this. But for me, the middle way of creativity is also being aware of not just giving everything for creativity so I exhaust myself, which I have done, I'm sure you have. You know, when I'm in the middle of doing a long run, 2 or 3 shows a day for a month or longer, you can get really exhausted, and the run up to doing big shows and big tours is exhausting, with the prep and everything. But also there's a middle way of the financing. You don't want to be giving so much that you don't pay attention to paying your bills at home, or make sure before you leave that you've got enough money to pay your bills at home when you go off on a jolly. I mean, there's been, unfortunately, far too many examples of people I've known who've done a show, gone, yeah, let's tour, and gone home and found they haven't been paying their bills. They've been made bankrupt. They're getting thrown out of their apartment because they're too busy zipping around Europe. The middle way on finance counts. And if I think about how I actually managed to make Singing Psychic from an idea I had in 2007, 2008 at a TV and radio sketch writing course that I did. I came up with an idea. And I did a bit with her in 2011. In 2014, I actually decided, let's move this forward. So I did a 10-week development workshop and worked on her and did some performances there, and also did 6 hours of her doing solo 1-on-1 or 2-on-1 readings as a singing psychic. But the reason I went, okay, let's try and move this forward, was in 2015, I got a 10-month modelling contract, which was amazing because I was doing minimum 3 days a week and sometimes 5 days a week. It sounds way more glamorous than it was. But what it was is I was on set all the time, and often being needed just to go in and like for a hand or a hand position, a body position, that kind of thing. I was modelling fridges, dishwashers and washing machines. Don't get too excited. But I was playing my very typical yummy mummy thing. But the point was that not only gave me reliable money that I didn't have to go chasing, because I knew for 10 months I was kind of booked up. I couldn't really do other gigs apart from I did manage to do some evening gigs as the singing psychic throughout that period. But it also meant I spent a lot of time in a green room with the other models, stroke actors, MTAs, or the other way around. So therefore I bought myself a nice MacBook Pro quite early in the process when I started in January 15, and taught myself to edit, which is why then in February 2015 I did my first kind of proper singing psychic video, and then felt I could learn enough and had the time to try and develop the first, Songs of Soho web series, and there's been many web series since. But the reason I had the time and money was I was booked to do a job where I wasn't having to learn massive scripts all the time. It was relatively less exhausting, and I had lots of downtime, which I used really wisely. And the middle way is the finance. I wasn't having to chase money all the time. As you know, as creative, you need to go, how am I paying my bills this month? And I did an episode 2 weeks ago on budget. I'll do another one next week, actually. So the middle way allowed me being able to balance that. And I know sometimes it's harder than others. Sometimes it has to be all creative work. And sometimes you have to go, I need to find some money to pay some bills and to fund the next thing. But I was in an opportunity where I'd looked onto the middle way, and I used it wisely. Third lesson. All creative road is rocky, up and down, but it always leads somewhere. When you are making work, it's fits and starts. But also a piece of work you might make now can have an impact or connection in a decade or more. In 2016, I decided to take 2 months out of my life while preparing to do my shows to go to Prague, and then also to my big kind of Edinburgh run, where I got award nominated and sold out my singing psychic show every night. And it was a huge thing and such a joy. I mean, I love doing Edinburgh Fringe. I love the venues. I love the street. I love the voodoo rooms. I love the fantastic Jane and George that I stay with or rent something from. They're amazing. I just love everybody up there. It's just such a joy doing Edinburgh. But in the middle of all that, I took 2 months out and decided to do lots of investigation research into the pros and cons of the EU referendum in the UK back in 2016. And then I made a 23-episode web series, which got picked up by Daily Motion. I got other work off it. But what it also meant was then when coming back from Edinburgh 16, I then went and applied for Arts Council funding for research in a show about sexual politics. they were like, oh, let me see your other work. I'm like, well, here's this sellout show. And oh, here's my 23-episode web series, which even on London Live, they were like, oh, you really know what you're talking about? Well, yeah, I do, because I'm an ex-bond trader. I know how to do research. I know how to talk. I know how to translate some of the jargon they use to describe economics, which can be difficult if you don't know how they're using the phrases sometimes. So that road to getting the funding for Queen show, which had then also tours with, I did the Songs of Brexit because I wanted to understand probably the pros and cons of the EU in terms of what I thought I'd learned at university, etc. But it was so educational and also a lot of fun, right? Right here and now, what am I making? Well, I've got my podcast going, not just this one, but my Singing Psychic podcast that goes out every Sunday. But I'm already saying, well, okay, it's lockdown. What I thought I was going to maybe get to do Brighton in 2021 and Edinburgh 2021, it's looking less and less likely, let's all face it. So what do I want to do? I, like many people, have become a little bit obsessed with Bridgerton. So I'm about to make a series as the Singing Psychic on Bridgerton. Like all the songs in it and all the characters in it and what basically your favourite Bridgerton character says about you from the perspective of the Singing Psychic. Ridiculous, yes. I'm going to just film it. I might do it live. There will be some edit involved. But I just think, well, I just know, again, why am I making it? Because I want to and I need to keep creating. Fourth lesson of review of my, what's happened in the last 6 years is that really, as much as we look at the work we make as, I got my career here, I made this money, we are actually making work for our audience and to be part of the conversation and to have a voice. So whatever your voice, opinion, where you feel voices need to be raised, whether it's the It's a Sin, Russell Davies thing at the moment, where they're having a flashback into the 80s and the HIV and the AIDS crisis. I've got two amazing friends of mine who I love both of them dearly, and they both have been HIV positive for over 25 years. And I've seen how they've reacted to that, and I've also seen quite frankly, how certainly in one case, losing when he lost his partner. I mean, just dreadful. And I'm so pleased that kind of work is coming out more and more on the impact of that, and it's not just put as on kind of side channels or etc. And equally with Black Lives Matter, I thought when Moonlight came out, the Barry Jenkins movie that of course won an Oscar, when I saw it at London Film Festival, I just went, because the angles of it, and if you haven't seen it, watch it, it's incredible. I'm sure most of you will have. But again, it made lots of points in ways you didn't understand. And of course, the current Black Lives Matter issue, the ongoing #MeToo issue, which of course I ended up tackling in advance with my Queen of the Fucking World show. But the truth is that the conversations we make are, and also the people we make it for. I've had so many moments with people who've come to see my work, whether it's the two shows I talk about now that still talk, or previous work that I've done many a moon ago, I have understood how actually what people leave, either learning, whether they leave laughing. I've had some amazing reviews of the Singing Psychic. And I say amazing because people are literally like, this is absolutely bonkers, in a good way, 5 stars. I'm like, this is an incredible review, because I said people were like, I've had reviews saying, we'll leave you laughing long after you've left. And I say that not to push my ego, but the truth is the Singing Psychic is a joy for me to perform, and it's a joy for people to watch. And we have together, which is why there's now a game show version, and I also do live readings and I can do Zooms. It's the joy. And equally with Queen, my Queen of the Fucking World show, she's a bi character. There's lots of other characters in that piece, but it goes and it talks from from sex workers' rights to women's power, to how society has chosen to suppress everyone but white straight males, quite frankly. And I really go into the very important work that someone like Mama Biashara, the fantastic charity run by Kopi Copstick, who looks after to support and help build businesses for Kenyan, often sex workers, that was absolutely fundamental to my show when I did some of the research and talked to her about that work. But I've had so many incredible conversations about. Afterwards, people have come up and said incredible things. So while sometimes it actually does sell out more than Singing Psychic, which I find weird, but then it depends where I'm at. Sometimes it doesn't. But I do know the conversations that it creates are just as wonderful to me as the hysterical laughter of people laughing so hard on my stage. I'm the singing psychic. You know, they're equally important reactions. I remember back in 2018, I was doing Queen of the Fucking World, the sequel, which was The Second Coming, and had lots of Mary Magdalene and stuff in there. And my text said afterwards, you see that lady was crying at the back, because it's quite dark show in many ways. I didn't mean to make anyone cry, and I trust it's not my singing anymore. But the point is, we have an impact on our work. So this lesson is not about the impact I've made on my audience, but the impact we all make on our audience. Whether you're a painter and that piece of art someone's bought for you, or the graphic book, or the film, or the moment, or the song, my goodness, we have an impact. And it's, for me now, at this kind of 2021, when I think 2022, we are all going to be out there gigging, being normal, but I think it's going to be, certainly for the next 6 months, it's looking like a very depressed way that way. We've got to all find really strong reasons to keep on trucking, like Simon Callow said to me. So I hope you found those 4 lessons useful, if at all. If you want to book my singing psychic character, contact me at Marisha T. You can always go and check her out always. And the Bridgerton series I'm doing for her is going to be made in the next week. That's my plan. Obviously, my agent is Dulcie Houston at CCA Management for acting work. And of course, I talk about creativity and all that jazz. But ultimately, why don't you have a look at how far you've come? But right here and now, I'm in the middle of doing some role-play acting, some corporate role-play acting. So at least I'm getting to be a character and having some absolute joy without yelling at people. I love being paid to yell at people. I always say, you have to pay me to be dramatic. Otherwise, forget about it. So I hope you're well. And I hope my 4 lessons, keep on trucking, look at the middle way, how you're financing, how you're being mentally healthy, how you're being healthy, spiritually healthy as well while making your work. And if you're not making your work, well, the middle way is also keep on making your work, even if you're doing other things, where possible, around responsibilities and family. And I know it's getting harder. The third lesson, of course, is that all creative roads are always moving forward. It's just you don't sometimes see the paths you're laying down, the bricks. And fourth is that it is always about it's the communication of your voice to your community, whatever your community looks like in terms of the art you make for them. So my name's Marisha Trembetska from I Love Your Creativity and Make Money podcast. I keep meaning the next episode needs to be about how I use saving pots, because I find it's such a useful thing in my creative work. It's just I keep thinking of other things to say. I'm going to post actually my very first singing psychic video, how to get a 50 Shades of Grey relationship, because of course I was in Berlinale in February 2015 when 50 Shades actually was released, and that's why I made that slightly ridiculous video, the way you look at it and go, I'll link it into the podcast notes anyway. And I'm going to finish with a song of mine from my album, If You Can't Make Love, Make Coffee. See, you always make work and you always use it. So be really well and keep on trucking. And let me know what keep on trucking means for you. Bye.
Of yearning are times of such sweet pleasure. You have got me so enchanted, I even dream of you. Can't see the way from here, there's no sun left. I'm surrounded with darkness from where I fell into you. I'm a vampire for your love. Just feed off your touch. Can I breathe without you? My heart doesn't beat without you. blood to fire, full for your love, full for your charm, addicted to your passion. I both live and die in your arms. I'm a vampire for your love. Just feed off your touch. Cannot breathe without you. My heart doesn't beat without you. Your bite has burnt me. You make me feel so weak.